Welcome to the third edition of Triviauto, where we'll present 25 commonly heard and seen words, names, or phrases if you're a car enthusiast. You'll have 5 seconds to answer each clue, after which we'll reveal the definition. These clues come from all eras and genres of the fascinating world of automobiles. How many do you know? Let's get started. Long block. This term describes an engine that includes the cylinder block and all its internals like the crankshaft, rods, pistons, etc., as well as a cylinder head or heads if it's a V-type design. That also includes all of their internals. Ancillary items that are usually all bolt-on are not included, like a water pump, a starter, a bell housing, a flex plate or flywheel, just to name a few. Americans. This is a colloquial term for the wheels from American racing. Although they have had an extensive line of wheels since their founding in 1956, their most iconic wheel design is the aluminum 5-spoke. Made in sizes from 14-inch to 22-inch today, throughout the years and depending on the diameter, were made as a 1, 2, or 3-piece design. They can be seen on many customs and hot-rodded cars and trucks. Their official name is torque thrust, and over the years, spoke designs changed in shape and the wheels had polished or unpolished lips, painted or polished spokes, and other subtleties. In our opinion, this is still Americans' best-selling wheel and the one most copied by their competitors. Laughing gas. This term refers to nitrous oxide, a gas used to instantly boost power when the gas is quickly introduced into the car's fuel induction system via a switch. The nitrous is contained in a pressurized tank, and the gas line is plumbed in steel because a hose wouldn't last long and would be dangerous. Nitrous oxide is seen on both race cars and street cars. By the way, this is the same gas used in dental offices when they don't want you awake for any number of their barbaric procedures. 2150. The Motorcraft 2150 is a Ford-built 2-barrel carburetor manufactured from 1973 through 1983, and it was based heavily on its predecessor, the Autolite 2100 carburetor. This carburetor was also used by American Motors on many of their different engines and models. Ames Performance. Based in New Hampshire, Ames Performance is the country's largest supplier of Pontiac restoration and performance parts for 1955 through 1981 models. Since 1976, Ames Performance has always had the highest quality at the lowest prices. They also offer free catalogs for the car you're restoring. They also sponsor a large all-Pontiac show each year. The link is included below for more information. Cobra Jet. This was a name given by Ford's marketing department to 3 distinct high-performance engines from 1968 through 1974. From 69 to 71, a drag strip performance package gave a buyer extras like an engine oil cooler, 391 to 430 gears, and stronger engine internals, which were all part of the drag pack package, an extra cost option on top of the standard Cobra Jet engine option. When so equipped, they were known as Super Cobra Jets. The 428 was an FE-based design and was available from mid-68 through the end of 1970. Next was the 429 Cobra Jet, based on the new 385 engine series, available in 1970 and 71 only. Drag packs were offered on the 1970 pony cars, mid-size cars, and the 1971 Mustang. Finally, the 351 Cobra Jet was available from mid-72 through 1974 and included a 4-bolt main block, among other performance goodies. However, there were no options for the drag pack. Dynoc. Used by manufacturers since the early 50s when cars no longer used real external wood as body panels. People preferred the look of a wood-bodied car, but didn't want the maintenance associated with real wood. Enter Dynoc. It was adhesive-backed simulated wood, used by every manufacturer to replicate the look of real wood. Seen in many colors and patterns over the years, it was still used clear into the early 2000s on station wagons and minivans. Today, the reproduction market supplies anything you could ever want or need to facilitate the restoration of a car equipped with this fake wood. Baldwin Motion. The original Baldwin Motion Performance Group existed from 1967 to 1974 and came about as a mutually beneficial partnership between the Baldwin Auto Company, a franchised Chevrolet dealership dating back to the early 1920s, and Motion Performance, a local speed shop specializing in building fast Chevrolets. They were one of the first shop owners who had purchased a chassis dynamometer to assist in building the fastest and most dialed-in performance cars in the tri-state New York area. Both businesses were located in Baldwin, Long Island, New York, a New York City suburb. From the start, Baldwin Motion offered SS 425 horsepower and Phase 3 500 horsepower and up big block Camaros, Novas, Chevelles, Corvettes, and Biscayne Street Racer Specials. Cars were sold at Baldwin Chevrolet or at Motion Performance, converted by Motion, and financed and delivered through Baldwin. Phase 3 427 and 454 cars came with a written, money-back, quarter-mile performance guaranteed from Motion owner Joel Rosen himself. Phase 3 supercars were completely streetable and some of the quickest cars on the street. Rosen's guarantee was bold, but during the entire production run of modifying performance Chevys, he never had anyone take him up on it. Roller. This term either describes a camshaft design or a project car that's still maneuverable as you're working on it. First, let's discuss the camshaft definition. Frequently used in today's OEM factory engines and mild to moderately aggressive performance engines, hydraulic roller cams use lifters equipped with a roller wheel that tracks along the camshaft lobe, reducing wear and friction, and enabling faster lobe ramp rates than flat tappet designs. The definition of the rolling project car is self-evident. It's a much more convenient way to work on your car. Striped tomato. Fans of the 1970s police drama Starsky and Hutch will instantly recognize this as a slang term used by these two undercover detectives to describe their bright red with white stripes 1974 Ford Gran Torino. It had slotted mags and a black interior. The car became so popular that by 1976, Ford offered an exact replica right from the factory. By the way, the official alphanumeric identification over the radio for this car was Zebra 3. And by the way, the add-on red flashing beacon put on the right side of the roof whenever they needed to in an emergency always made us laugh. Westcott Auto. Based in Oregon, Westcott's has been in the street rod reproduction parts business since 1954, producing some of the first fiberglass replacement fenders. In addition, they also produce complete bodies and many other pieces such as specialty hardware items. They carry over 5,000 different part numbers for Ford-made cars and trucks from the 1920s through the 50s. See the link below for more information. Caps and rings. This is an abbreviated way to describe the type of wheels your ride has and how they've been dressed up. Caps are hubcaps or wheel covers, and rings are trim rings. They must be used on a steel wheel. By cleverly using a matching or complementary color on the wheels, caps come in many different interesting varieties, and rings are also available in many styles. It's actually quite an art to select the right color for the wheels and the style of caps and rings that sets your car off from all the others. We prefer a perfect combination of these to most any other custom or billet wheel, depending on the car. Cherry. A term used to describe a car that's extraordinarily nice, or a bright red color, and is also a trademark name for a particular brand of fiberglass packed mufflers called cherry bombs that emit a distinct tone, especially when the innards of the mufflers disintegrate. Hoops. A slang term for wheels, mostly of the larger diameters from 20 inches on up. Land yacht. This term describes an overly large American automobile like a Buick Electra 225, a Cadillac Sedan DeVille, or a Lincoln Mark IV or V, to name but a few. Cars that fit this description were built from the 1950s until the late 70s. Also called a land barge, drive-in movie management was also suspicious of a land yacht when it entered the facility with only 2 people inside. They knew full well that about 8 more people were probably hiding in the trunk. FMX. Ford manufactured the FMX transmission, also known as the Cruise-O-Matic, from 1968 to 79. The FMX was a 3-speed automatic transmission with MX internals and an FX case, designed for the 351 engines that were first introduced in 1969. Ford phased out the FMX in the United States in 1979 in favor of the automatic overdrive transmission, but continued to sell it in Australia for use on V8 Ford Falcons until 1983. Skins. A slang term for tires. Lancers. Used by customizers of primarily 1940s and 50s cars, Lancers are attractive wheel covers that feature a prominent spinner. They're called Lancers because they were first seen on some 1950s era Dodge Lancers when new. Slapstick. A term used to describe an automatic transmission-equipped car with a floor-mounted shifter. A driver slaps the car in gear or slaps it quickly through the gears if racing. A la carte. This full custom 1929 Ford Roadster pickup was a collaboration between the iconic customizer George Barris and 2 others. It started as a vision that George drew while out to dinner one night in the mid-50s. He doodled the car's basic shape on a napkin and, looking through the menu, spied the words a la carte. Barris turned the C into a K, and the name stuck. Powered by a Dodge Red Ram Hemi sending the power into a modified 1939 Ford manual transmission, really impressed showgoers when they saw the added Hillborn fuel injectors and the massive amounts of chrome and details throughout the build. It was, and still is, a beautiful redesign that has stood the test of time. First completed in late 1957, it escaped a shop fire at Barris's, where many other cars are totally destroyed, because it was stored in another building. The car went on to the show of shows for custom roadsters of the time, the Oakland Roadster Show, held in the Bay Area at this time. The a la carte won the top honors in '58 and came back in '59 to repeat the feat again. This prestigious award is known as America's Most Beautiful Roadster, which indeed it was. In between, Hot Rod Magazine featured it in the October 1958 issue. The a la carte's fame was at an all-time high when model car company AMT purchased it in 1961 and immediately issued a 1/25th scale kit that was one of their best sellers of all time. The car fell into disrepair and bounced around to several owners before John Mumford acquired it at the turn of this century. Realizing the significance of this legendary hot rod custom pickup prompted him to contact hot rodding legend Roy Brizio to perform a complete and detailed restoration. Finished in 2008, it was again shown at the Roadster Show, now located in Pomona, California. Greeted by throngs of appreciative fans, the a la carte lives on to show people who don't remember how customs were built back in the day without the assistance of CAD, prefab parts, and other conveniences that today's hot rodder takes for granted. Since the restoration was completed, both the Danbury Mint and Mattel's Hot Wheels division have rendered facsimiles of this legendary custom. It occasionally travels the show circuit and is really something to see. If you can see it in your area, you shouldn't miss it. Frenched. This is the art of sinking or tunneling components to give a custom appearance. Seen on mostly traditional customs of the 40s and 50s, this is most often done to headlights, taillights, and antennas to give them a built-in appearance rather than a bolt-on look as is usually original from the factory. Day-night mirror. An inside rearview mirror that can be switched at night to prevent headlight glare from behind temporarily blinding the driver. When first invented, the switching was manual. Now, every vehicle is equipped with such a mirror, and most, if not all, are fully automatic. Mountain motor. This describes an internal combustion engine that has a displacement above 500 cubic inches. By utilizing a cylinder block that can handle a large overbore and a crankshaft that has an extended stroke, some engines now exceed 600 cubic inches. All of these components are only available in the aftermarket. BFGs. An abbreviation for BF Goodrich tires. Dune buggy. Originally, dune buggies were most often fiberglass custom bodies designed to fit on an air-cooled Volkswagen pan. They were very popular during the 60s through the 80s, and they had many hardcore followers, even today. However, today, enthusiasts have many choices for off-roading, so the open dune buggy, which is certainly not as safe as other vehicles, is considered a classic. Drivers of these vehicles drove them hard over sand dunes and in other areas where sand and dirt can be found. They were also popular to drive on the street. It all started with a company called Myers-Manx that made that fiberglass body to sit atop the very commonly found VW Beetle. Well, that's all for today. How many did you know the definition of? Which ones did you miss? Tell us in the comments. Join us again next week, and thanks for watching.